Ladies and gentlemen, this is an example of a drill that is often done in American pool practice. The balls are arranged from 1 to 15 in an L shape, therefore we call it an L-shaped drill. It's a classic. Vast majority of advanced players have done it at least once in their life. The goal is to make the balls in numerical order. Bumping other balls is not allowed. So for example, as I pot this one right now, I'm not allowed to hit with the cue ball number 2. As you can see, all the balls have pockets, therefore within this drill the difficulty of the drill is not really to pot the ball, but the difficulty is to maintain position of the next ball. Therefore, for example, if we consider a straight line leading between the pocket and ball number 3, then it becomes for next shot absolutely critical to position the cue ball within the area above this line. Why is that? If I finish with the cue ball over here, then the angle on the 3 that I would have would directly lead the cue ball into the 4. As I mentioned, cannon the other ball is not allowed. Therefore, I must make sure I finish above this line for the next shot. That's really the main difficulty within this drill, to maintain the correct angle on the next ball. As you can see, I have finished above this line. That allows me to comfortably pot ball number 3 and get with the cue ball to the bottom cushion back to ball number 4. Same is the case for the next 4 shots, so really it's vital here to maintain the angle for every consecutive shot and not make an easy mistake. Parts of the video were muted. I have only unmuted the parts where the shot is being delivered. The reason is that the background music might make some companies weird about copyrights, even if it's a minor video. The next shot is significantly easier than the previous ones. The point being is that if I consider the position that is needed for the 8, then I can really land on either side of the 8 and still have a correct position. The point is that there is no ball above the 8 ball that I can possibly bump in the following shot. As you can see, even if I finished below the line that I mentioned before, I can still go with the cue ball to the top part of the table and be okay with the next shot. In fact, this shot is a bit tricky. I need to aim a bit to the left-hand side of the cue ball here. The point being is that if I decide to hit the cue ball somewhere in the center, which I hopefully will be able to draw, then the path of the cue ball will lead it to the top part of the table. I really don't want it, therefore I decide to hit the cue ball slightly to the left so that the cue ball, after hitting the cushion, stays on the top part of the table. Playing this shot with check side is in fact a bit uncomfortable. It was more tricky pot than it initially seemed. The next 4 shots are slightly easier. The point is that I can really have any angle on balls 9, 10, 11, 12, and I will still be able to easily find position on the next shot. You can hear a bit of background noise. The point is that we are not in an academy, we are in a pool hall. People will be playing in the back. There is a league going on, and dealing with that background sound and maintaining concentration is also the part of the training. Here's when the drill becomes a bit more difficult. The point is that for the next 3 shots, ideally I would like to stay with the cue ball within this area, so I don't have to travel with the cue ball much distances, but this was a bit of a mistake. With this angle, I cannot hold the cue ball on the left-hand side. As you can see, even with a soft stroke, there is a bit more angle than I would wish on ball number 14. And this shot actually happens to be surprisingly difficult. Since I have too much angle, I cannot stay with the cue ball on the left-hand side, and I have to do something a little bit more fancy. A bit of a problem is related to the center pockets over here and here. The point being is that one of the paths that leads like this can be cut off, because either we can end up in this center pocket if we play the shot like this, or another option is to go twice across, and then the danger is the other pocket. For that reason, I decide to choose another path, which leads me slightly to the top part of the table. I get a bit more distance on the 15th than I would wish. However, I still get a relatively comfortable shot that I should be able to make. This 15 concludes one version of the drill. The other version of the drill is to practice exactly the same thing, but reversed, the mirror image of previous version. Same difficulties that I mentioned before apply. The reason why in pool we often practice the mirror image of a drill is that the angles on the table looks differently when we play from left and right hand side, and it's often the case that one of these sides is weaker than the other one. We don't want to have weaknesses in our game, therefore when we practice anything, then we practice it both from the left or right hand side if there is a difference between them. Here for the next 3 shots, again, it's critical factor to finish above, to finish with correct angle, not to bump the next ball as we play the positional shot. With 6 to 7 being the last difficult shot in that regard. Here I finished with a bit too small angle on the 7. I have 2 options on this shot. One of them is to screw the cue ball with bottom right and get it off the left cushion in here. It's a bit uncomfortable shot. The reason is that it's difficult to feel the screw and it's difficult to feel the side. It's very easy to underdo or overdo this shot. It's very easy to choose the correct spin. Another way to play this shot is to a bit punch the cue ball off the bottom cushion, left cushion to the top part of the table. It's a harder shot than it looks. The point is that there is little angle on the 7. You have seen the cue ball jumping due to the pace of the shot and also due to the fact that the cue was not exactly parallel to the surface of the table when the shot was delivered. Here there is an interesting part of the drill. Behind the table, somewhere in there on my shot line, there is another person that charges his phone and is kind of chilling over there, waiting for his shot. I decided to take a little break. This person obstructs my concentration. I decided also not to approach him because you don't know what kind of people can you face. I don't know that person. I don't want any unpleasant situations. Therefore, I just take a little break, wait till the person goes away off my shot line, and only when I can concentrate fully, I decide to approach the 8 ball. And as you can see, it was the correct approach, absolutely perfect shot on ball number 8. Again, balls number 9 to balls number 12 are relatively simple shots. Any angle on these balls is okay. Balls number 13 to ball number 15 will be slightly more difficult since I want to stay close to the right hand side. Even though any angle on ball number 11 was correct, then the previous shot was a bit of a mistake and it would propagate to the next shot. The point is that I have to go to the bottom cushion through at the left hand side of the table to ball number 12, and on the ball number 12 I have too little angle. Why was the shot of the mistake a bit of a mistake? The position area right now for ball number 13 for me to stay close to ball number 14 is between these lines that I have just drawn. Therefore, in order to get there within the next shot, I actually have to right now go pot the ball number 12, let me make it with the red line, and then go off the left cushion into this area. As you can see, if I consider the pace of this shot, then I have very small margin for error with the cue ball to go into the correct shot line, and that's why this shot was slightly more complicated. Moreover, I have left myself a bit too little angle on ball number 12. I have to really deliver a lot of pace on the cue ball. As you can see, I have gone below the intended shot line, and I have left myself with a bit too much angle on ball number 13. Right now I am forced to go to the left hand side of the table and then to the right hand side for ball number 14. Not too much trouble, completely recoverable, but possibly a bit more difficult than it should. For ball number 14, I have the angle that slightly pushes the cue ball away from the 14 to the left hand side. Therefore, I decide not to stay close with the next shot, not to go over to this area, which is impossible. I decide to screw the cue ball. It's not a great line. I decide to screw the cue ball back to the center of the table to have slightly more difficult but makeable shot. Going to the right cushion was physically impossible, therefore I simply went for a makeable shot on ball number 15. And this concludes the drill.